Hi there, I'm Vincent Boss and I provide dating and self-improvement advice. And in today's podcast, we're going to be discussing what your ex is thinking on Valentine's Day. I provide audio coaching for breakup recovery, trying to get an ex back, attracting someone new, and life coaching. Visit www.dateme.tips for more details. Please check your spam and junk folders if you are expecting an email from me. So now let's get back into today's podcast, and today we are discussing what your ex is thinking on Valentine's Day. So if you have been dumped and want to try to get your ex back, you will likely wonder what your ex is thinking on Valentine's Day and whether or not you cross their thoughts. In today's podcast, I'm discussing 3 thoughts your ex likely has on the day of Valentine's Day. So let's get straight into this, and point number 1 is their current dating option. Now let's just get the worst out of the way first. Now I promise you, the rest of today's podcast will be much brighter if you're listening as a dumpee, but we need to get rid of the elephant in the room, and that is the possibility that your ex is dating someone new. Now please, let me be clear. It's not necessarily the case. And although you might hear people say somebody will only end a relationship if they're moving straight into another, that from my research is simply not necessarily the truth. Does it sometimes happen? Yes. Does it always happen? No. So the fact I'm speaking about point number 1 today doesn't necessarily mean that you are in this situation. It doesn't necessarily mean that your ex-dumper is dating someone new. But we do need to speak about it because it is possible. So please bear with me and listen to point number 1, but please don't get too upset or distressed because there's no guarantee that you're in this scenario, but it would be wrong of me to not mention this. So if your ex-dumper is dating someone new or is in contact with someone new in a dating thought process, then on Valentine's Day, they are going to be thinking of this person. Now, although it might sound scary, if we can think more logical for a moment, we would understand why this would be the case. You know, if your ex-dumper is dating someone new, then on Valentine's Day, their thoughts are naturally going to go to that person. It doesn't mean you can't get your ex back. It doesn't mean that they won't have time to think of you as well. But we have to be real about this. And if your ex-dumper is dating someone new, then on Valentine's Day, they are going to be thinking of that person, if not maybe even meeting up with them. Again, it sounds scary, but if we just think logically, then this makes perfect sense. It doesn't mean they're going to be with this person forever. In fact, from my research, if somebody jumps into a new relationship within a year or so of their previous breakup, the likelihood is this new relationship will not last the test of time. You know, we refer to this as a rebound relationship, and it is likely to end as quickly as it began. So although nothing can be guaranteed, I would suggest that if your ex is dating someone new that they got into a relationship with or started dating within a year or so of your breakup ending and your relationship ending and your breakup happening, shall I say, then I would believe that in most instances this new relationship will not last the test of time. You know, this new relationship will not be something that your ex is still involved with in years to come. Now, I can't promise you this, I can't guarantee you this, but from my research, that's the likelihood. So please try to stay as relaxed as possible, because if you know or suspect that your ex is dating someone new, the likelihood is it won't be forever. And also, as I said earlier on, there's certainly no guarantee that your ex is dating anybody new. There is a lot of information put out there that somebody will only end a relationship if they're instantaneously going to monkey branch into a new connection. I just don't see this from the research that I've done and through the many years that I've provided coaching for dumpers and dumpees. I just don't see this as something that always happens. Again, does it sometimes happen? Yes. Does it always happen? No. So the fact that you've been dumped does not guarantee that your ex-dumper is dating somebody new. Certainly, if this breakup took place a matter of months ago, It's just not likely the case. It's hard to find a long-term compatible partner. And therefore, if your ex is dating someone new, they probably will be thinking of them on Valentine's Day. They probably will meet up with them on Valentine's Day, but they will also probably have a breakup with this new person within the next few months as well. It might not even last until the June, July kind of time. With us being in February right now, if you think of it in that regard, we're talking it might not even last by the summer for those of us in the Northern Hemisphere, or the winter if you are listening in the Southern Hemisphere. It's just not likely to last forevermore. So try to relax and understand what, although it was very important what I mentioned point number 1 today, I have to be real with you. I do have to say that if your ex-badumper is dating somebody new, then on Valentine's Day, they're going to be thinking of them because that's reality. But it probably isn't the reality in your scenario because most dumpers will still be single. So now let's get into point number 2 and the second point of today's podcast. Please like this video if you're watching on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. And point number 2 is last Valentine's Day. So when we're asking the question, what will your ex be thinking on Valentine's Day? Something very likely indeed is last Valentine's Day. And the reason why this is the case is that for any major day of the year, whether it might be New Year's Eve or Christmas Day or a birthday or Valentine's Day, our mind naturally goes back to the previous time this day occurred. So on this Valentine's Day, your ex is likely going to be thinking of last Valentine's Day. Now, where does this come in? Well, if you consider the situation that you were no doubt in a relationship with your ex last Valentine's Day, well, that is where you come in there and then. If you were dating your ex last Valentine's Day, then on this Valentine's Day, they will think of you. Their natural thought process will consider what they were doing on Valentine's Day last year. What happened on the day? What did they do? Where did they go? And more importantly, who was they with? Now, here's the best bit about it. The likelihood is that this is a positive memory. Most Valentine's Days have great memories attached to them. Both people are generally making an effort. It's normally a great memory. So not only is your ex thinking of you because they're thinking of last Valentine's Day, they're also likely thinking of you in a positive light. They're not thinking about the arguments. They're not thinking about the reason they ended the relationship. They're thinking instead of a romantic, exciting day or evening they spent with you last Valentine's Day. This can be very, very powerful in your chances of one day getting your ex back. Because at the time of a breakup, sadly, your ex-badumper would have felt a very low level of romantic emotional attraction for you. This is the reason why they ended the relationship. They wouldn't have ended it if the attraction level was high. However, when they think back to last Valentine's Day, when they think of you and the positive, exciting, romantic memories together, this is when they're going to more likely think of you in a positive light and actually start to regrow a small amount of romantic emotional attraction. Now, is this going to be enough for them to reach out to you and want to reconnect? Probably not. But it's going to be a little bit more romantic emotional attraction in the can to slowly but surely grow it. And if and when it hits the necessary high point, this is when your ex-badumper will reach out to you. So although it's not likely that your ex-badumper will reach out to you on Valentine's Day because they're thinking of you, what is more likely is that it's going to be a little bit more romantic emotional attraction in the can, slowly raising that level, helping you along to hopefully get to the point in the future, and it might be months down the line. You know, it might be a situation, as I said earlier, about your ex possibly dating somebody and that connection may be ending in June, July time. Well, maybe that coincides with when they grow enough romantic emotional attraction for you to reach out to you. So you might not hear from your ex until in the summer if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, or the winter if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. You might not hear from them until that kind of time of the year. But the beginning process of them starting to be reattracted to you could have started on Valentine's Day. That could have been the first day where a big lump of romantic emotional attraction was tipped in your favour in their mindset. That could have been the beginning of where you and your ex reconcile. Now, of course, there is no 100% guaranteed way to get your ex back, and sadly, not all of you dumpees will achieve your goal. However, Valentine's Day does provide an opportunity for your ex-dumper to reflect on the past, and not even just last Valentine's Day. They might think back 2, 3, 4, 5 Valentine's Days ago and remember great memories they had. If you were together with them then, that will help you as well. If you were with your ex for 5 to 10 years, that's 5 to 10 Valentine's Days that they might think about because they are reflecting on previous Valentine's Days of the past. This can really help you, and it ties in with my research showing that the longer you're in a relationship together, the more chance you have of reconnecting. Now, it doesn't mean that if you were dating for 4 months, you can't get your ex back, but certainly if you were dating for 4 years, you have more chance, in my opinion, than getting an ex back if you were dating them just a few months. The longer you were together, the more memories, the more triggers, and in this instance, the more Valentine's Days. Now, if you would like advice and support about how to try and increase the chance of one day getting your ex back, then you may want to consider my audio coaching service, where me and you can speak one-on-one about your unique specific situation. Go to my website www.dateme.tips for more information about how I can become your coach and your teammate via my audio coaching service. So now let's get into point number 3 and the final point of today's podcast about what your ex is thinking on Valentine's Day. And point number 3 is the last time they were in love. Now, this isn't exactly the same as point number 2, but it does somewhat connect, and it also connects possibly with point number 1. And this is that Valentine's Day naturally makes us think of the last time we were in love. It is the day of love. It is the day of lovers, the day of romance. This is when your ex-dumper is going to be reflecting back the last time they really truly felt love. Now, if your ex-dumper is dating someone new, they are not likely to be in love with that person. They're just dating them. They're not feeling what they once felt for you at this stage. And therefore, when they think back to the last time they were in love, they're not going to be thinking of their current date. They're going to be thinking instead of you. You know, you were their last partner in this regard. Yes, they may have dated people previous to you. Yes, they may have even been married to somebody before you. But what we're talking about here is the last time they were in love. Not previous times, not 10 times ago. We're talking about the last time. The last time they felt that flutter in their tummy. That last time they felt that magic in their mindset. And that last time would have been with you. It's not going to be with somebody that they dated 20 years ago. If you were somebody they were in love with post that point, it's not going to be with somebody they met last month because they're just casually dating. What we're talking about is the last time they were in love, and that is likely to be you. And they're going to be thinking of you in a positive way, similar to point number 2, when I said they would think of last Valentine's Day, which generally speaking would have been a good day. Well, in point number 3, they will be thinking of you as their last love that they felt, and they'll be reflecting on all of those moments, all of those magic moments you shared together, not just Valentine's Day, the best times of your relationship, but excluding the worst. This really is a powerful day to inflate that level of romantic emotional attraction in your ex's mind. They're going to be flooded with positive thoughts of you, not just from last Valentine's Day, but also of the love that you shared. Now, some of you would have been in shorter relationships, and maybe last Valentine's Day, you weren't together. However, maybe you met, for instance, in the March, and you did fall in love. Now, if that is the case, point number 3 is really going to be helping you because your ex-dumper won't be thinking of you of last Valentine's Day because you didn't know each other. But you did fall in love, and therefore they will be thinking of you in a positive way. This is why when we spoke about point number 1, and I wanted to get it out of the way because it's the scary thought, but we don't really want to dwell on, well, points number 2 and point number 3 should hopefully show you that your ex-dumper is going to be thinking of you. Whatever your position, if you were in love and if your ex was in love with you during your relationship, then on Valentine's Day, your ex-dumper is going to have a period of time where they think of you. You're likely going to go in and out of their mind across the whole day. Maybe there is a specific trigger, maybe there's something on television, maybe it's a song on the radio, whatever it is, your ex-badumper is going to be thinking of you, and it's likely to be positive. It's likely to be helping them regrow that attraction that they need if they're ever going to want to reconnect with you in the future. As I said earlier, it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to reach out to you today. In fact, if you're a dumpee listening to this right now, I would suggest that you're not going to hear from your ex. Don't get your hopes up. Don't let it ruin your day. Don't think you're going to hear from your ex on Valentine's Day. Now, do I think that you might hear from them beyond that? Absolutely, it's possible. I can't guarantee it. I can't promise it. But just because you don't hear from them on Valentine's Day, it doesn't mean you can't hear from them months down the line. As I said, this is about them slowly but surely regrowing that attraction, and that might start to begin today. So think of this in a positive sense. Keep yourself busy, concentrate on your own journey, go on a date with somebody new. You know, there's nothing wrong with dating new people. You're a single person currently, but just rest assured and know that your ex-badumper will be thinking of you one way or the other on Valentine's Day. If you believe that this podcast has helped you, then please consider buying me a coffee. The link to do so is in the description.